Today, we're diving into a really tough but absolutely crucial topic. We're going to explore the inner workings of a narcissistic relationship, and we're not just going to talk theory here. We're going to break it all down as a series of direct warnings based on our source material.
Wow, okay. So our source doesn't waste any time, right? It gets straight to the point with this quote. And it's a really stark warning. It tells us that this dynamic, it isn't just about dealing with a tricky personality. It's about the slow, steady erosion of the very things that make you, you. It's about the fundamental price you pay just to be in it.
So, what is that fundamental cost? Our source material actually calls it the price of admission. Let's really dig into the core parts of yourself that you're often forced to surrender just to keep things going. And just look at this list. I mean, the sheer scope of what's being lost here is staggering. Our source is incredibly clear. We're not talking about the normal compromises people make in relationships. No, this is a systematic dismantling of your core being, your freedom, your optimism, your boundaries, and as the source points out, even your very humanity.
You know, this really begs the question, why on earth would anyone pay such a high price? Well, the answer, so often, comes down to one incredibly powerful thing: hope. The belief that they can change. But what if that hope is actually part of the trap? Our source calls this the illusion of change.
And here it is. This is the core disconnect, right? You hear these big, powerful promises. I'll change, I promise, this time is different, and of course, you want to believe them. But our source asks us to look at this from a different angle. What if change isn't the real goal? What if it's just a tactic, a temporary tool used not for real growth, but simply to keep you in the dynamic until, well, the old patterns inevitably come back?
And that leads us to some of the most direct advice from our source: stop investing your precious energy trying to fix them or change them. It basically frames these attempts as, unfortunately, a dead end. And it argues that the first, most crucial step is just accepting that reality.
Okay, so if genuine change is off the table, how is this whole dynamic kept alive? Well, according to our source, it's done through a very specific set of tactics. And these are all designed to create confusion, to enforce compliance, and ultimately to maintain control. This really breaks down a powerful conditioning process. I mean, think about it. It starts so simply. You have a perfectly valid, even urgent need, but over time you're slowly trained to just stay silent, to not even ask. And it can escalate to a point that's just mind-boggling, where something as trivial as their entertainment gets prioritized over your actual health. It's the systematic takedown of your right to even have needs in the first place. So what happens when you just stop engaging, when you go quiet? You'd think silence would calm things down, right? De-escalate the situation. Well, our source says it does the exact opposite. Your silence becomes a huge provocation, and the big question is, why? It's because your silence isn't seen as a need for peace. To them, it's seen as a verdict. It says, I see you, I see through the mask, and I'm not playing this game anymore. For someone whose entire sense of self is built on controlling the story, your silence is the ultimate rejection. It's the ultimate threat. And that perceived threat? It's going to be met with overwhelming pressure. The source warns that you will be cornered, and there's a very specific goal here: to make you break. They want you to lash out, to react, to become unreasonable. Because if you do, it proves their narrative about you was right all along. And in a really twisted way, it puts them right back in control. You know, all of these tactics, they serve one purpose: to lock you into a very specific set of roles. Because according to our source, this isn't really a relationship between two equals. It's more like a stage play, where your part, well, it's already been written for you. The very first role our source identifies is the punching bag. And yeah, it's a harsh metaphor, but it's also painfully clear. Your primary function becomes absorbing their emotional blows, their rage, their stress, all their daily frustrations. And then there's this one, the trash can. This actually goes a step beyond just absorbing immediate anger. This is about you becoming the designated container for all their deeper unresolved issues, what the source literally calls their psychological garbage. And finally, the energy battery. In this role, you kind of stop being a person and you become a utility. Your vitality, your joy, your actual life force, it's all seen as a resource to be drained, like a fuel source to power their world, usually at the expense of your own. So when you put it all together like this, the blueprint of the whole dynamic becomes so clear, it's almost chilling. I mean, just look at the two columns. One side holds all the power roles, executioner, savior, thug. The other side is assigned all the suffering, accused, scapegoat, victim. It's a completely rigid system that's designed to force you to constantly react from a place of disadvantage.
You know, laying all these warnings out, it isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. And that awareness hopefully leads to a really crucial question. It helps us turn from just explanation toward your own path forward. So after seeing all these patterns laid out so clearly, what part of yourself will you reclaim first?